there are those things where that happens. And for Terminator it works. At this point, people have just stopped paying attention. You know, you just screw it up long enough, but be entertaining. People will like, well, whatever. But then you have other ones where like Back to the Future is a fun series that a lot of people love for time travel, but there are moments in it where people will go, wait a minute, that doesn't, there's these things that happen that don't work other places. So it becomes kind of an idea where how do you set up the rules for time travel? Because there's not really a set point for them. H.G. Wells' The Time Machine has its own rules for time travel. He builds the machine and he goes back to save his wife and fails. Then he goes back to save his wife and fails, and he keeps failing. And so he finally decides, well, I can't go back and save her. If I go forward, maybe I'll find something that'll let me save her. And eventually meets somebody in the way too distant future who tells him, the reason you can't save your wife is if you save your wife, you don't build a machine to go back and save your wife. So you can never save her because you will never build a machine to go save her with.
That's pretty cool.
And that becomes the crux of that man's horrifying story. It's like he's just screwed. The one thing that he wants to change is the one thing. He can change anything else. I think they actually flat out say that. Like, you could have changed anything else in the universe except this one thing, because that one thing is the reason for your ability to go back and do it.
Kind of like the ring.
Yeah, you have to have the rule that you can't break, or at least have a really good reason for why you can't break it. Again, that's just for me. That is a personal opinion. I think most readers will agree that if you set up a rule, that you really should follow it all the way through, or have a really damn good reason why you did. Because nothing annoys me more than seeing a thing where like that is, you said we couldn't do that, and then you do that. You don't know.
Yeah, no consistency.
Yeah. And I think that's really the most important part, is like you need to be consistent.
I think it's the difference between good stories like The Terminator or great stories like H.G. Wells one, you know?
Yeah, The Time Machine.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I think that you will have those moments where, you know, what changes in how the story is told and how it's remembered. You know, I've often said that, and I think time also, like distance from when it was written, also makes a story greater. We will forever look at Raymond, well, I don't know forever, but right now we look at Raymond Chandler as one of the greatest writers of all time, and he's written these wonderful jewels of novels that are fantastic stories and you know, windows to a forgotten time. But I imagine in the 1930s people looked at him the way people look at Mickey Spillane today. You know, it's like, well, he writes a bunch of novels about a guy who shoots chicks and slaps bad guys around. But I imagine in 60 years, people will be going, oh, Mike Hammer's an amazing story, a picture of the 1980s. Or they could completely forget about him, we don't know. But I think that's something, that's why, like, for this, I use television, books, movies. You know, like, I think good writing is where you find it. And there's more places I could have done. I could have used music. If you want a story of society and the way it's handled, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. For plays, language, Porgy and Bess for language. You know, there are a plethora of places you can find good writing. And I specifically don't use just books because I want to draw attention to the fact that there are places in this world that good writing exists that we forget to look at because we have just decided for some reason as a society that certain things can't be well written. We don't look at movies. There's people who don't think movies qualify as art in a lot of ways, or they're not as important as a play or a book.
Intellectual.
Yeah. So is there any other questions? Well, I think we're done then. So I want to thank everybody for coming out, and I do appreciate you stopping by. I know we're videotaping this. It's going to be up on YouTube later, so if you want to see it, feel free to. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So, thank you all.
I've got a question.
Oh.
Maybe. Do you do road building yourself?